My goal with these type of interviews is really to have integrators talking about the trade, the profession, their business, the industry, things like that. And in particular, things that are mutually important, whatever they may be, or valuable to discuss, let's say in this case, between the two of you, but would also be seen as valuable and interesting to everybody I hope that watches this, which will be a lot of other integrators and the usual cast of characters in the industry with manufacturers and reps. And I hope to begin to get more designer community attention on this site too.
Mhm.
So with that said, I mean, what strikes your mind between the two of you?
I mean, if you're basing it off those questions, I mean,
Yeah.
not a lot's changed in my business in 3 years. If
Mhm.
we span maybe 5 to 10, I think we can elaborate more. I think the biggest trend I think we're seeing in the industry in general for an integrator point of view is lighting's expanding quite a bit over the last few years, like let's just say 5, since kind of like Lightapalooza started and all that kind of stuff. We've all, like myself, have been in putting lighting control systems in forever, but I mean, now getting into the fixtures and expanding a little more in that, I think that's a really big trend in general in the industry. And it can be a very lucrative trend. It's kind of like what shades were 10 years ago when shades started getting more introduced into the industry and more integrators started doing shades. I think the lighting fixture side of things is kind of a big one right now.
That's what I've noticed from where I sit. I'm not an integrator, but in particular, not just lighting as a whole, that's been around a while, but the fixture business. And
Yeah, no,
perhaps
that's what I mean.
I've often done.
The control part's
Mhm.
been around for a long time.
Right.
We've all been
Right.
doing that. It's the fixtures, and
Mhm.
even the outside lighting, doing landscape lighting and stuff like that. That's really grown quite a bit.
Mhm.
Right. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. I know something that we've really been doing a lot of is the surge protection. I feel like that's really practically every customer that we have. My project manager, Spencer, is always telling them about it, selling it to them because it really is, I mean, it really is necessary. We live in Florida and lightning
Right.
is crazy here. So, and we're putting these expensive products in their home and they want to protect them.
Are you putting whole house surge protection in?
Yes.
Oh,
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we moved here to Tarpon, I'm aware of lightning issues and surge in the state in particular, plus being in the industry. So when we got to the house, which is, a fine house, needed some work, but nothing major, and the panel was good, there was not a surge protector on the panel. So when I had my electrician come in and do some modifications, put some new fixtures in here and there, and update GFCIs, outdoors, things like that, I asked him about the panel, and he said, absolutely, you need a surge protector. We'll make a breaker for it in the panel. And it's this little, 4-inch square box. It was not inexpensive, but I'm convinced it'll make a big difference protecting the whole system. Now,
Mhm.
beyond that, I don't know if you put additional devices in, let's say, the audio closet or the rack.
So I'm not out in the field. I don't know.
I'm sure you probably do. I
Mm.
mean, when you guys are doing it, I would
Mhm.
imagine. I mean, we do. I mean, we don't do whole house. I mean, but we've talked about it a little bit because
Mhm.
Arizona, kind of the same thing as Florida. The power is just awful. I
Yeah.
mean,
Right.
it's
Yes. And I know, I mean, I don't know if you want me to say specific brands on here.
That's fine.
So we use Surgex, and that
Mhm.
really is, from what I know about it, and giving the just clean power to the home is really
Yeah.
important.
That's where I was headed in particular.
Mhm.
There's whole home that I had put in, but as we know, there's a number of manufacturers, all great companies that have a lot of solutions, Cirtex being one of them. So in addition to maybe something being done at the panel, which I guess would be an electrical contractor's job as opposed to low voltage integrator, then there's a lot of additional solutions that in our industry we can put in to protect all these valuable systems that are becoming more complicated, having more loads on them and so forth. So,
Mhm.
Well, that kind of even expands what we were talking about with the lighting fixtures, because like you made a great comment, Buzz, of it entails a high voltage license now, but more and more companies I'm seeing are starting that division,
Mhm.
bringing that high voltage division into their company,
Yeah.
because I think we've all can. Again, doing lighting control for as long as we all have, we've all had that awful experience. You give the enclosure schedule and everything to the electrician, and we basically do all the hard work for them, and they still screw it up.
mhm.
And it's like, so we end up redoing the work where, I mean, myself, I've been dabbling the idea of starting an electrical division in my own integration company just
Yes.
because my team's just so frustrated
Mhm.
with it.
Right. And
Yes.
Melanie, you have that as a base, don't you?
Well, I mean, Paul started out as an electrician, but he doesn't have his electrical license. We have we have pursued a lot of that avenue. The doors kind of keep closing on that one. So, but we keep going and just, I don't know. I feel like there's, I could purchase an electrical company. I don't know if I want to do that, or, I do know of other companies around the country, like you said, Doug, who have started this. They're either getting their electrical license and starting one, or they're hiring a master electrician and starting that. So there are some different avenues.
I see. I see. Yeah, when I posed the question on that note earlier about, how's business changed in 3 years, I picked that point in time because at first I was going to write since the pandemic, since COVID, and I almost felt like, oh, that's so redundant. But yeah, so I didn't want to do that. So I thought, well, maybe a little bit more recently, since maybe we're back to normal 3 years on after all of the things happened with that. But yeah, you did make a good point there, Doug, that over a broader period of time, fixtures and lighting have come in. And that's big time. How are you seeing lighting business, fixtures and shading going together? I would imagine that in both of your businesses, those two are really well aligned.
Oh, for sure. In my business, my integration companies, we really focus heavily. The majority of our projects are new construction. So we're in with the developers and everything like that. And they've actually, our people we've worked with have actually, when I bring up the idea that we're getting into it, have really welcomed that. Because again, I'm going to go back to that frustration of dealing with the electricians, which aren't as technical as our industry is, and not necessarily, I'm not trying to slam them or anything, but not as organized as we might be from a business point of view. And the lighting manufacturers themselves, like DMF and stuff like that, have made the comment. The reason Lightapalooza is probably one of the fastest growing trade shows is because they realize this is the market they need to go after, because we get it. We can sell the higher ticket items where electricians really aren't equipped to do so. And they see the opportunity that integrators bring to that and the success rate, that we are more process driven and can drive these more complex projects than the electricians. So that's kind of our focus at my company, just because we are heavily new construction.
I see. How does that compare with Integral, Melanie?
Doug and I have talked about this a lot, that my market is so different from his, just doing a lot of remodels and retrofits. I mean, that's a lot of remodels is what we do. I mean, people do in Pinellas County or even over in Hillsborough. A lot of them are just older homes. And so people are tearing them down and building new ones. But I would say with the remodeling, like Doug said, like a lot of the lighting and the shades just we also use DMF lighting. And so that really fits well with that, with the remodeling and the retrofits. That with the lighting and the shading, also here, the automated hurricane screens, we do a lot of.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah, so that's something that, I mean, I hate that we have to have them or, need them, but they are good. So we've added
Well,
that.
I'm going to go again back to our recently purchased home here in Tarpon Springs. Now that you mentioned automated hurricane shades, they really didn't surprise me that they existed here. And it's a longer story for another day, probably, maybe for refreshment at Expo next week rather than here. But we get the house and we realize that there are automated shades on the front of the house. We have two large windows around the front doors. So the front doors and the two, angled windows, they have these big white housings up above them. And those are the automated shades for hurricanes. They're not automated into the home system or anything, even, we're going to do that in the future. It's just a simple remote control. So we have them here. But my wife, she was like, oh my goodness, I never thought there'd be something like that. So right there, we've got that protection of windows and homes and everything.
Yeah.
And with our industry's trend towards shading and, as a broad statement, window treatments indoors and out, who knows? Maybe this is an application that's going to be something for our trade to address, maybe a bit more regionally.
Yeah, we have a few videos of us literally when Hurricane Helene was coming and then Hurricane Milton, we were out there right as it's like coming on shore and then finishing installing it at customers' homes. And the waves are huge, the wind, it was crazy, but we got it done.
Right. Well, we were here for those two lectures. That was our first experience. More on that later. And in the meantime, I bought a big power generator, Predator. I had the power
pretty good idea.
and the interlock installed, so I can just plug it into the house, have a line from the propane tank, and everything works. That's what we did. Switching gears a little bit, a moment ago, somewhere in the conversation, Doug, you mentioned our industry and our ability to do project management things. And that's obviously an important part, not only for our profession, but all businesses. But I thought perhaps, and also Melanie, you mentioned Spencer. I think he is project manager
Mhm.
at Interval. Perhaps we could spend a few minutes talking about the value of and maybe some of the key things that you do to make sure that your project management team, skill set, and processes are really dialed in for your business.
I'll let you talk, Doug. Go ahead.
Okay. Um, well, I have my company's, probably a mid-size integration company. I have about 20 people on there. Our
Mhm.
markets are Scottsdale, Arizona, Paradise Valley, and Kona, Hawaii. So project management and process is everything. So my background too, I'm also the owner of Projects 360, which is a software that I developed for this industry to manage this. A lot of misconception people have is that they think software is going to solve their problem without process. Process is everything. And I can't stress enough the key things that I see and talk, because I talk to integrators all over the country and all over the world. The biggest thing I see people not doing are weekly ops meetings and design handoff meetings. So when a project is sold, doing the handoff into production to make sure everybody's on the same page, understands the expectations of what was sold, how it was sold, how it's supposed to operate, go through the proposal with engineering and everything again. Of course, you've done that beforehand, but make sure, with the who's ever the lead tech's going to be or head project manager of that is going to be to make sure there's not maybe a better part, like, hey, this part's better to go for this, and just doing internal change orders that way. And, knowing for the future, that's the best thing to go. But communication has been lost. Everybody is in a rush to rush through everything. And I don't care what size projects you're doing. I mean, granted, we focus purely on very large projects, but we do some small ones. Even if you're doing small projects, those meetings are vital for efficiency. That's going to reduce having to go missing parts, making sure everything's going to work properly, no questions for the technicians while they're in the field. It's just something that's people got to get back in the habit of doing weekly ops meetings. And then even let's go after the project's done, doing weekly service meetings with your service team to any issues they're having in the field, making sure you have, the right service structure. There's a lot of great companies out there that are third party. We use One Vision, myself and my company. So there's even opportunity there for RMR, so that's my experience.
Yeah, I would say we have not been super consistent with the meetings, and I am a smaller company. There's about 7 of us, but I do agree. I think procedures and processes are so important. And I think that I often say to my team, we need to run it as if we are a large company, And so, but we did bring Jason Sayin in, and he really,
Oh, cool. Mhm.
yeah, we took his cohort. We did his cohort and really just fleshing out a lot of things. So getting back to those meetings, because we are smaller, I feel like we all kind of wear many hats. I mean, unless sometimes Spencer's going to talk to himself. He doesn't,
Well, this
But I mean,
business can make us do that from time to time. It can drive us
even being a
crazy.
smaller company, like you mentioned yourself, Melanie, I mean, it's just so key to start those now. I mean, because as
Yeah.
you expand and grow, you have that in place. Because we started doing our weekly
Yeah.
JIP meeting, we call it, which is jobs in progress. I think about the same size as you. I mean, when there was only a handful of us. And we
Yeah.
just got into that. It's a weekly Friday meeting.
Mhm.
It only takes like an hour, maybe an hour and a half, depends on, stage of projects. And, you know how
Mhm.
it is. It's a roller coaster of
Right.
how things go. But it's a quick meeting, but I can't express how much it helps your company,
Yes.
and it reduces,
Mhm.
and the team actually likes it because it's a good
Yes.
collaboration thing too,
I
because
agree.
because you get to see everybody else's maybe issues they're having or what troubles they might run into that you don't see. Like, as even me as
Mhm.
the owner, I'm not in the field every day anymore, I mean, it's good to get the feedback from your team to know what maybe you need as an owner to address.
Of course, of course. Yeah, I liked your comment, Melanie, about the project management trying to run the meetings and the process as if you were a larger organization than you might presently be. My initial thought of that was that it was genius because as the company grows, perhaps your processes will already be in place rather than we've been doing project management in a certain way, but now we've had a bunch of growth and we're struggling a bit with some things there. So then you have to kind of pause and adapt your procedures because the business has gotten larger in various ways, more complicated. but rather you build structure in that you can grow into and grow with. And that would be, business planning efficiency and things like that. So I thought that was pretty clever.
Yeah. So it's not easy. We're still trying to often get our bearings. I feel like we're busy and I'm thankful. It's a good problem to have, but trying to, we'll schedule a meeting and then it's like, oh, wait, we've got to reschedule that. And then we put it off for a week. So just really trying to be more consistent with that. I agree with Doug. It's so important to have that. And like he said, like for collaboration, I think people get the chance to have their voice heard. They can talk about things that maybe they see, like you said, they see issues in the field. And it's like, okay, when I was a teacher, I had a principal that said, if you're going to come to me with a problem, have a solution.
Yep,
and
I love
so I feel like they often, if they see a problem, they have a solution. And so it's like, okay, tell me the solution.
Because like you said, they want that empowerment, and opening that door to them, it just brings more pride in what they're doing, and they take ownership of the projects. They like being part of that team. It's huge, and it's so underestimated, and it's so simple. I mean, and I'm not saying simple. I mean, it's not that hard. You just got to, like you said, we used to be notorious to like, oh, we'll push off the JIT meeting, do all that. I mean, trust me, been there, did it. We all did it. And then we finally just put our foot down, like, no, this time slot. And we found for us, doing it first thing in the morning is the best. Before the guys get out in the field, trying to do something in the middle of the day and stuff like that it's just so hard because everybody, including the techs, you're engulfed in the middle of what you're doing. And we all know things come up throughout the day and, it's so easy to miss it. And even end of the day, we tried that briefly and that didn't seem to work because, again, sometimes you get strung out a little longer on something. We just found first thing in the morning, it's pretty solid, to do it that way.
That makes sense to me. Let's touch on one more thing and then we can wrap up. I was on a phone call with somebody in New York City a couple of days ago, and I heard a lot about seasonality of their business. And seasonality in terms of starting and completing projects may vary by area. But are there any particular seasons or seasonality trends that your businesses cope with in Florida and in Arizona? Probably a little bit different than the New York metro area where, Memorial Day, Labor Day are really, really big pressure points, as well as the holidays.
Yeah, I do feel like I would have to really think about it, but I do feel like there is maybe a certain point because Florida, our outdoor weather is so great, like November through maybe early June, and then it's just really hot. But I do see an uptick in outdoor audio a lot, like when people are starting to do more outdoor evening activities and be outside more versus just being in the pool. We get a lot of outdoor audio by the pool and stuff like that. But I would say I do see an uptick at a certain time of the year for requesting the outdoor audio, outdoor TVs. Maybe they in the spring because they just let it go for a certain part of the year. It's just so hot. That's what I would say I see with us.
Yeah, for us, kind of the same thing what you guys experience in Florida that we experience in Arizona is we have snowbirds, we call them, all the winter visitors that come up. Obviously, you mentioned the word hot. Phoenix in August when it's 118, not many people are around, even people that live there full year, they go up north to the mountains. But so we'll see an uptick in business in general come the fall, like end of September, beginning of October, when the snowbirds start coming back to their second homes there. So for us in general, because we do a lot of new constructions, that stays pretty steady all year. The nice thing with not having snow or winter or anything like that, construction kind of rolls all year round, where like you were mentioned, Buzz, like New York and East Coast or Midwest, I think construction kind of slows down, obviously, in the winter when it's, just too cold to go, or they're doing some stuff. But our service department is because we've been around for so long. We've been around since 2001. And so we have a lot of legacy clients. We'll see an increase in service. We try to plan, to go and do a proactive visit before the clients are coming back, make sure all the systems running and there's no issues. So they come back to something, don't come back to a headache, basically. So that's what we kind of see. And I'm sure you guys have that same issue in Florida. I'm sure you guys have a lot of snowbirds.
Yes, come January. They all come in January.
Oh, yours is January? They don't start coming in the fall?
Nope. Still hot here.
It's still hot in Arizona, but it's down to 90 at least.
Oh, that's nice.
Late snowbird arrivals. Well, terrific. anything else on your minds as your business years continue? How's it been for both of you?
Business is good. I mean, it's been steady. Like Melanie said, she's busy. You know, we've been steady. We were having a good year this year, so hopefully that continues. We see the trends, I think it just depends on the market you're going after too. On that, you know,
Yeah.
if there's different markets in this industry that you can focus on, and it's going to be regional too, depending on the level of wealth in those regions, because definitely the higher end stuff, it stays pretty consistent for the most part. It's maybe the more mid-level stuff that you'll see the big fluctuation as the economy fluctuates more.
Terrific. Well, very good. Thank you so much, Melanie and Doug, for the time today.
Well, thank you, Buzz.
Sure,
Appreciate
yeah.
it.
That's a good conversation.
I appreciate it. Thanks very much for saying that. I thought so too.
Good seeing you, Melanie. See you guys next
Bye.
week.
You too.
Have a
Bye.
good one.